Good morning, everyone. I'm going to go down the list here of our active participants and test your mic and video.
Captain Whitlock, can you hear me?
You are unmuted.
Commissioner Miller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Very good. You should have received a prompt to start your video. I just want to make sure your video is working.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and stop your video and move on to the next participant in system test.
Okay, do I need to do some of my background?
No, ma'am. I have turned off virtual backgrounds. Your background is fine.
Okay.
Ms. Bartlett, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to start your video. Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Kevin Carr, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Sir. I'm going to ask you to start your video to make sure it's working. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Captain Whitlock, can you hear me? Ms. Fetch, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Give me just a second. Yes,
I'm
can
gonna
you?
ask you to start- make sure it's
Okay,
working.
sorry about that.
No worries.
Oh, that light, there you go.
Very good, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you back.
Okay, thank you.
Major Armstrong, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to start your video, just make sure it's working.
Hello.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna put you back on mute.
Thank you.
Ms. Mays, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can, I can see you. If you can lower your camera just a little bit, I'm just getting the top of your head. That's very good. Thank you very much, ma'am. TJ, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna ask you to start your video, just make sure it's working.
How's that?
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Good morning. Who is the caller at 016?
Ken Bass, maybe.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Merge you. Thank you, Ken. Commissioner Jones, can you hear me? You muted it back. Commissioner Jones, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna ask you to start your video just to make sure it's working. Very good. Thank you, sir. I can see you.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna mute you back now. Jaquinta, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me? Hello?
Just to make sure it's working.
Okay. Oh, Tim, you do not want me to start my video.
That's fine.
I'll do later. You can block mine.
That's fine. I'm gonna put you back on mute. Morning. Morning. Good morning again, everyone. At 5 minutes till 9, I'm going to enable the audio and video for our remote commissioners. Ms. Stallings, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to start your video just to make sure it's working.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to put you back on mute.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Okay. I thought he told us to have a background of judging. Anybody there but him? Let me make sure if my mic ain't on. Okay, mic's on. Okay, mic's on. I want a thumbnail. Let's see, they stay. Let me see something right quick. Okay, but I'll go wheel. But I need my. I need to put my notes over on the other one. I might end up having. Okay, I got it.
Okay, under the emergent, need for the, to keep the COVID-19, regulations of the, county commission, with the governor's executive order regarding COVID-19, of the, sure uniform response to the COVID-19 crisis we're able to call this meeting. It is, 9 a.m. Proof of public, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, April 17, 2020 at 9:35 a.m. and the written supplemental agenda was posted on Monday, April 20th, 2020 at 9:45 a.m.
Okay, this time I know it's different with not, everyone in the courtroom, but I still think that we should pause for a moment of silence and then we'll have a pledge to the flag. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
to the flag
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
pledge the Texas flag, honor the
I have
Texas
the
flag,
Texas flag, pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, and I don't believe anybody, sign up to make public comments. So at this, and it's going to item D on proclamations and resolutions, we have nothing to do. I would like to, go to, first to, item M4 on page 7, economic, development report for March, and I'd call on Chris Collins to give that. Chris, you're on mute.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Do y'all have the slides that I sent over?
We have the economic development report.
Judge, right below
Okay.
that are the slides.
Pardon me?
Right below that, right there.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
There it is. Love when technology works. Y'all
Okay.
go to the next slide. We'll get things rolling.
What did it tell? Hmm?
The only one not included.
You tell me. It's business meeting.
If we can advance to the next slide, that'd be great. All right. What you have before you is our economic development report through March 31st of this year. A lot's happened since the beginning of March, but overall, it did end up being a good month for us. The number of attraction inquiries, we had 9 for the month, total for the year 24. We had 4 proposals submitted, along with 10 on-site visits. We had 1 business retention for the visit for the month. If you'll recall, spring break occurred in March, and then everything happened with the stay-at-home order related to COVID-19. We've been looking at shifting to virtual business retention visits. The outreach that we've done with employees, right now, their preference is to wait. They're on calls and video conferences a lot these days, and so they've asked us to hold off for a little while until things get back to a more normal business operations for them. We've had a tremendous number of business assistance requests during the month of March and rolling into April. Before the closure of things happened, we did 2 business development events. I was in Chicago at the beginning of the month working with Team Texas, which is our Texas economic development group that markets the state of Texas. We were visiting with developers and site consultants on opportunities for Texas. And even then they were predicting that this would be short-lived. I think we missed the mark a little bit on that. The pipeline of projects overall does remain strong. There are 33 different projects at various stages that we're working on. 18 of them are new business attraction opportunities, and 15 of those are expansion projects. Collectively, that represents a little under 8,800 new jobs, 9.8 million square feet of real estate, and nearly $2 billion of capital investment. So we'll advance to the next slide. Yeah, let's move to the next slide, please. Thank you. But I wanted to talk a little bit about our current project pipeline. There are several projects that we've been working on for a while now. Project Torch is nearing a period to come before commissioners and the city council. Project Flash is a project we're working on. Will be a consolidation of multiple out-of-state facilities into a one solid Waco location. Project Calcite Mineral is one where we are a finalist site under consideration. It's an international-based company that would create around 50 jobs, new construction related with it, and $32 million worth of capital investment. Project Glam is in the cosmetics industry, looking at an opportunity in Waco. Project AMP is an expansion by an existing company that would relocate its current operations and build a new headquarter. Project Diana is a very large distribution opportunity that we are a finalist site for. Project Promise is a new facility or a new project out of state. Would be relocating from an existing Texas location into a new. This one would bring 40 additional jobs this year, absorb 60,000 square foot of real estate in the marketplace, and have about a $3 million capital investment. Project Rocket is another very large distribution project, retail related, so it would be supporting a line of retail chain stores. That project is in blue right now. It's on hold for future evaluation pending return back to traditional business operations where retail stores across the country are open again. And then Project Palm is an existing company that is looking to grow its manufacturing operations in the community. Project Rodeo Tower is one we've talked about quite a bit over the past year, and the project is currently on hold. The word that we've received from their site consultant is that given the current environment globally, because this is a global business, they are just waiting for business to resume into a more traditional world. But overall, these projects represent just under 2,000 new potential jobs, 2.8 million square feet of construction. The majority of that is new construction, and just under $500 million worth of potential capital investment. So we do have a strong project pipeline. We are seeing some additional projects that have been on hold or are moving forward, which is a good sign. I think that businesses are anticipating that they will be able to resume operations hopefully soon, and they're preparing for that. But as far as the number of active new projects that are coming in or the leads that are coming in, been a little bit slower in April than we would traditionally see, but that is to be expected given the current global issues that we're experiencing. If you'll advance on, please. I did want to mention that there's been a lot of shift, and I think I talked a little bit about this the last time I was here visiting with the court. There have been a number of employers that have shifted over into personal protective equipment that is where their traditional lines of business have been interrupted. They're shifting over. Let's Gel is doing the face shields, which you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. Balcones, of course, we saw in the newspaper the lines that were created when they were giving out their hand sanitizer over the weekend. DE Shipbelting has been converting its operations, Nearly Me Technology making masks, as well as WRS Group, Nightlight Donuts. L3 has converted its cabinet shop and upholstery shop into making masks for L3 Harris employees across its global footprint. And then we've had some extremely generous employers who have been donating equipment for our healthcare providers. Vossloh Fastening Systems out on Highway 84, a German-based company we helped recruit here a number of years ago, was able to internationally secure N95 masks, sent over 3,000 for the community, and before that had been able to secure 2,000 additional masks. So really trying to help our local first line service providers, and we really appreciate that. L3 Harris, again, has dipped into their own supply of masks and gloves. Jannon Group is a medical supplier providing masks and shoe covers for first responders. 4Foot face shields. Harbor Freight as a company has done a great job even locally in providing masks and face shields. Sherwin-Williams has been active in this. So, when industry has been asked to step up to the plate, they have absolutely done that, and we really appreciate it. And I know that all those folks that are on the front lines really appreciate that as well. If you'll just shift over one more, please. Okay. And then I just wanted to remind everyone about our employer response page on wacotxjobs.com. We are actively posting positions or companies that are actively hiring out there, so that anyone that has been displaced as a result of the current COVID-19 situation and is actively seeking employment can go to wacotxjobs.com. Our friends there, you can also connect to the local workforce solutions and look at additional opportunities that are out there. That is workintexas.com, and you can look at additional opportunities through that are in Waco. We've seen a lot of hiring related to the healthcare industry, both for hospitals, but also for you might see that for senior living centers. There have been a number of hirings. TSTC is actively hiring right now as well. So there's a variety of employment opportunities that are available right now, depending on the needs of those folks actively seeking employment. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the court may have about what's happening in our local economy right now.
Okay, are there any questions anyone would have? If not, is there a motion to approve this report that includes the financial report as well for recording purposes?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Miller? Okay.
Okay, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Okay, go to, is Elizabeth on the line?
I am in.
Go to- Okay, under M1, updates on the coronavirus, if you could give us some information on that.
Goodness. Well, you see the back of my, see if I can flip my camera. All right, now you can see us. Ryan and I here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. So quick update, just to give everybody some information. We have 77 positive cases, but only 15 of those are active as of yesterday at 3 o'clock. Kind of our big focus for this week is watching for those reopening guidelines. We watched the press conference from Governor Abbott. I'm pretty sure you all are aware that the 27th, next Monday, is going to be the big day for him to announce a lot of executive orders for what those reopening guidelines are going to look like. We are observing what other states are doing, what their plans are looking like, seeing if the CDC pushes out guidelines for, specific industries that might give us a clue what they're thinking as well. So basically, we're kind of shifting toward that recovery and starting to work on that long-term recovery committee and plan. This is not going to be an overnight fix. There's more to this reopening businesses. It's going to involve, that mental health piece. People are going to be and still continuing to telework, still continuing to practice our hygiene, all that good information. As for the hospital status, they're a little over 50% full at both Providence and Hillcrest based on numbers yesterday. So our hospitals are still looking in good shape. So as we look towards reopening and recovery, it'll be a balance of both that economic and public health perspective and keeping in mind how we balance those two and get to a new normal.
Do you have data on how many infections and data that we reported on that?
So there were 77 positive cases and 15 of those are active. And there are 3 in the hospital right now, and all 3 are in critical condition. So.
And you have numbers on the ventilator utilization?
Yes, give me 1 second and I will get those pulled up. Okay, we have a total available vents is 70, and there are 14 vents that are currently in use right now. So we are looking to be in good shape.
Yeah, sounds like we have good capacity. Okay, any questions for Elizabeth? Anyone have? If not, I would like to go to under item C1, under the supplemental agenda, and have Mike Dixon go over the addendum to our existing order.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey. I hope I can figure out the technology. Okay, there I am. The camera puts on 150 pounds. The emergency order last week, the governor came out with his executive order that's going to allow retail businesses to do curbside delivery and door-to-door delivery. And it didn't really have a lot of explanation with it, but we're hoping that there's some more meat to it that comes down this week. I think it's pretty clear that it doesn't mean that you can have a bazaar outside, that you can bring all your stock outside and have people shop, like a sidewalk sale. I think it's purely meant to address situations where customers order things and advance and come by and pick it up or have it delivered to them. So what this order does is just makes clear that our order is not in conflict with the governor's order. Essentially takes the substance of the governor's order and adds it to our order, so that Friday at noon, we will have the same effect on, our order will have the same effect on retail as the governor's order, which will again be curbside, mail, and door-to-door, which, and why it's important is these are non-essential businesses, so they haven't really been doing anything. At this, at least it lets them do something. So I think that's a baby step in the right direction, but it's not too far that would open us up to major spread.
Okay, the order is in your package. Is there any questions any commissioners would have regarding that particular order? If not, is there a motion to approve this order?
Motion to approve.
Is there a
Second. Second.
Motion been made, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Your microphone's off.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce.
All right. Okay, Pat, thank you.
I couldn't hear my name. Can y'all not hear me? Can y'all not hear me?
Okay,
Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I can hear, but
I
I
can
can't
hear you.
hear. Okay, I can't hear Mercedes, so I didn't hear my name on that vote call.
You can barely hear Mercedes.
yeah, we'll try to work on that. We got your nod, Commissioner Miller, so your vote counts. Okay, is there any other, items for discussion coming under the COVID-19 agenda? And we can come back to it if something comes up, a little later. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to go to under, item, O2A and O2C. This is an amendment to the contract and budget for, in progress update from Kevin Carr. So Kevin, you can give your report, and then, Mike Dixon and possibly Dustin come on to talk about, an amendment. Good morning. Kevin, you can proceed.
Okay, I'm trying to get going. Can everybody hear me and kind of see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just real quick from a safety perspective, just to update the court and everybody on the project to date, I just wanted to cover real quickly. We've had no accidents, no incidents. Obviously, we've changed a few things with the COVID-19 situation. So we've gone to entirely no in-person meetings. Everything's done virtually. Nobody comes to the site that's not actively working on the site. Obviously, we've increased our hygiene practices. We've actually installed a couple hand wash sinks on the west side of the project, and stocked them with antibacterial soap that the workers can do their best to try to wash their hands as much as they can. Anybody that comes on the site and or is working on the site, we're trying to follow the rules for best practices for social distancing. We're also asking that everybody wear face coverings or a mask at a minimum. So we're just trying to do the best that we can and continue to work and be safe. To date, we've not had any workers and or any incidents related to the virus. We're tracking that through our different subcontractors. So that's a positive thing. We're just trying to do the best that we can to follow the guidelines while continuing working. Just some other quick schedule information, weather impacts since the project started. We've had about 22 weather impact days since we started. 7 of those days happened between the time we started the building pad construction and finished the concrete foundations. We did finish all that work on time, so no impact from those initial weather days. Since we started structural steel and building work just prior to Thanksgiving last year, we've had an additional 15 weather impact days. The good thing is we're progressing still really on schedule. We're in a couple days, if you look at our original schedule activity for kind of the work that's happening right now. Big picture, from a team collaboration standpoint, everything's going real good, working with our design partners out of Kansas City, Populous, working with our mechanical, electrical engineers out of Round Rock. We've gone to kind of all virtual meetings. We're providing them virtual updates. We're flying our drone a lot more often. We're trying to get them a lot of imagery. They'll send us specific requests for pictures or imagery so they can validate certain details before we cover things up. So we're just trying to do the best we can to keep up all that team collaboration. Everything seems to be working pretty well so far. Some major milestones. We are a little over 82% complete with all the slab on grade work inside the main expo hall. We got 10 placements. 8 of the 10 are finished. We're scheduled to complete the last 2 placements here by the end of the month. So by April 30th, we should have our last of our 10 placements in for the big 8-inch slab on grade in the expo hall. Some other major milestones that have happened. March 30th, we actually started a new subcontractor on the job site, our masonry subcontractor. So we've started on the east side of the building, progressing our way north. We're actually on the north side of the building now, progressing towards the west, and I'll show you a few images. So new major subcontractor that just started a couple weeks back. Their work is currently progressing on schedule. This is a big week. You can kind of see the expo hall in my image. You can see things staged up on the expo hall. We should finish up this week. You can see the majority of the big box, if you will, has metal studs, exterior in place. We've got a little bit to finish here on the east side, and then we have the northeast corner of the expo hall there. That should wrap up late this week. We've got multiple semis of material coming in throughout this week. It started today. We're going to be stocking all the roofing materials up on the high roof and begin the roofing installation work. We met with our mechanical sub yesterday. All the rooftop equipment curbs are on site for all the roof mounted equipment. They'll be back on site on Thursday, and they'll start the installation of the equipment curbs, followed by, obviously, I talked about stocking of the roofing. As soon as the equipment curbs start getting set, we'll start to flash those curbs in. And then once, like I said, the exterior sheeting and metal studs completes after this week, we'll be in the mode of actually starting to install the roof on the high roof in conjunction with the equipment curbs, followed in late May by the installation of the actual rooftop mechanical equipment. So those are kind of some big things that are happening and coming up this week. So just kind of flipping through a few pictures, you can kind of see the status of the expo hall. I'll just kind of pull up some imagery so you can start to see it from different perspectives. Here, basically looking towards the east, you can really see what it looks like. The stuff you're seeing up top, the little bundles of material you're seeing staged around the perimeter. That's actually the inside material for the inside face of the roof parapet. That installation has to go concurrently with the roof installation. When you put that material on the backside of the fascia, it has to be covered up with roofing material. So it's all pre-staged. Later this week, we'll have some more imagery to show all the roof stocking. So that work's pre-staged and ready to go in conjunction once we start roofing work here late this week, early next week. Going around to the backside, you can see again what I was talking about on the backside, the metal studs, sheathing, the parapet. All of that is basically around the entire big box. You can start to see basically that northeast corner that we're completing now. Start to see on the backside of the building, if you look down towards the lower left of my imagery, you can start to see that exterior masonry work that has started and is progressing around the building. We're actually inside the building now, continuing to progress to the west with our masonry work. Another shot from the other side, you can see that exterior masonry work that we need, and then our metal and sheathing sit up on top of that to kind of complete the exterior walls of the big box. You kind of see it from another perspective, looking back towards the Coliseum to kind of see what I'm talking about, where our exterior skin system is stopped, the masonry work is around, and those are actually our metal stud framer guys putting up that exterior wall to kind of complete that exterior skin element. So things are progressing really well. Again, you can kind of see it from the front side, what the expo hall looks like today. So it's kind of a top-down shot, looking at the high roof. Kind of some zoomed in shots, if you will, of the expo hall itself. The two main entrances. These are the sunscreen structures out front at the future front outdoor patio area, the front porch. You kind of see what that starts to look like. Sorry. A few more shots, again, kind of zoomed in as some of that masonry work there on the southeast corner of the expo hall. Few more shots. There's one of the stair access doors that come from the inside of the expo hall to get you up on the back low roof. There's kind of a shot inside the expo hall, so you can kind of see the masonry work, the structural framing progressing in the background. And you can see we've started now. A lot of this slab on grade work that you're looking at here has been cleaned up and uncovered. But just a few images so you can kind of see what it looks like in the expo hall itself, just as across the expo hall. Really kind of the final stuff that we have. So that's really the update. Again, things are progressing well. We're just, again, trying to do it as safely as we can and really just taking things on a day-by-day basis. It's kind of the current I have as far as progress is concerned.
Okay, Kevin, let's talk a little bit about how we are on the timeline and where we are on the budget.
Okay, so from a timeline perspective, as far as the building is concerned, we are currently on schedule. Like I was saying, we're within a day or two of our concrete slab on grade placements, where we projected to be a year ago versus where we're currently progressing. Masonry is actually on schedule and progressing well. So the building work, things are going well with the exterior envelope that you can look at. The only piece that we're working to get kind of spooled back up is the only site utility work that's not done is our main water lines off of Bosque. In about 2 weeks, our utilities contractor, Barnett Contracting out of Waco, should return to the job site and then be able to complete that last utility work. That's the only work that's probably about 3 weeks behind from where we originally projected. In the grand scheme of thing, it is not going to impact the completion date of the schedule. We would just like to get that subcontractor back. They've been tied up because of some of this weather and have been impacted on other projects we're working on. But within 2 weeks, we expect to have them back. We'll get the water line work completed. It'll actually time out a little better because we'll finish those big slabs that I was talking about next week. We've got our last 2 placements. All those concrete trucks and pump trucks come in the west side of the expo hall there, which is exactly where the water lines go. So it's actually, it was kind of a unexpected blessing, I guess, that we'll actually could be able to complete the bulk slab on grade work and then start to cut things off with our water line work. So that's really just the remaining site utility piece. And we'll start work out on the front parking lot. Bobosky will start to progress after that is the only thing that's really not progressing according to the original plan. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it will not impact the overall. As far as budget is concerned, I'm pleased to report we have not used a single bit of any contingency on the project to date. As our packages 2 and 3, if you remember, package 2 was our utility and site package. And then package 3 was structural package, structural steel package, and concrete foundation package. We are working now to close those budgets out, and I can report that in addition to returning the contingency amounts, we'll actually be returning additional unused budget funds as part of both of those packages. So, and we haven't experienced anything in the expo hall to date for current work that is impacting our budgets. The only other thing we are dealing with, there is one unusual situation that I've never been involved with before, but the aluminum sunscreens that wrap the front of the building, if you can see my cursor waving around, you can see the structural framework that supports the aluminum screen wall panels that create a sunscreen as well as a screen for the roof. A component for that material, the aluminum actually gets manufactured in Vietnam, and there's a paint component for the finish on that material that is fabricated in Italy. We're currently working with that subcontractor. We got word last week that the paint factory in Italy is back up and running, and there hasn't been a production impact that they've made us aware of in Vietnam. So we're kind of closely monitoring that. That'll be one of the last elements. It doesn't affect as far as drying the building in is concerned. It's an aesthetic element. We're not planned to actually install that material until the fall. So we think we've got a little bit of float time. I think we've got about 30 to 40 days in the schedule. So that we're hoping that obviously this unusual situation with the virus internationally, we're hoping now that we're starting to receive word that manufacturing is continuing to progress, that we don't expect that to be an issue. We're trying to monitor as best we can. Right now, obviously, we got a lot of masonry materials coming to the job site. That pipeline of materials seems to be flowing. We're getting word that the balance of our mechanical equipment is coming here third week of May, which is all the rooftop units. We have a portion of them already on site. So at least right now, we're indication that those factories are still up and running. All our roofing materials are coming in this week. So the other thing that we're tracking is trying to get an indication from the factory as far as our exterior metal panels and exterior roofing. So that's probably the next piece. We're trying to make sure that that material is going to come in schedule. But that's probably the biggest thing we're trying to track right now is we appear to have a good workforce and we're working on schedule. It's just a matter of can we keep feeding it with future material. We haven't received any major indications that that's not going to happen. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing we're looking at and trying to track right now.
Okay, are there any questions for Kevin? So that covered O2C, and so is there a motion to accept his report for the social purposes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Cannell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass, thank you. All right, going back to, under item O2, regarding construction manager risk agreement, under O2A is consideration or action approving the addendum to the agreement for our construction manager at risk. And then O2, B would be approval of initial, exposition center furniture fixture equipment budget. So I'd like to ask, Dustin and Ken to kind of frame this discussion, to start out with.
All right. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well.
Thank you.
All right. So under O2A, and kind of giving an overview of where we are, the fair has put together an FF&E list of items for the venue center. And through it, Ken and I have reviewed it along with Kevin Carr as part of our weekly owner architect construction manager meetings. It's a pretty exhaustive list. As y'all know, we did not go with like a food service consultant on any of the items in the kitchen. So the fair has kind of taken that upon themselves, and in other areas, along with audio visual, tables, just the regular FF&E stuff. And it would also include some of the sporting equipment. In visiting with Ken, it's such a large list that, and Ken can chime in and correct me if I'm wrong, but we feel it's something that would, it would, probably honestly overwhelm our purchasing department trying to go through and put bids together for this stuff and vet the items. Of course, we can look for things that are on a state contract or those things that are under $50,000 that we could go ahead and procure. But in talking through it and also visiting with Mike Dixon about it and knowing how much kind of value engineering and savings that Irwin's team has brought to the table, and knowing that a lot of these things need to have coordination when they're installed, such as some of the kitchen equipment and coordinating deliveries, kind of the consensus of our group was that it would be a great idea to let Irwin manage the FF&E as much of it as possible. And there are some things that we can carve out that purchasing, like we said, those things that are under 50,000 or those things that are on a state contract, some of the larger, maybe single item purchases that the county can do ourselves, but then let the remainder of those, let Irwin kind of in their CMAR role and set it up very similarly to how our original agreement is with them, where they will come back and they'll prepare the bidding instruments. They will then give us a guaranteed maximum price. And then those things will be brought back and presented to the commissioner's court. And then one other layer with this is under O2B, there are some unique opportunities that are starting to pop up now just through the COVID situation. Wes had been contacted by one of the sport court groups, and with a large number of cancellations, there are some sport courts that are available, including the crates that items can be stored in that, looks like we could get at a heavily discounted rate. And that's something that Kevin and Wes are going to follow back up on with these sport court people, just to make sure, kind of see what those savings are. So what we were thinking, and I don't know what the right number is under O2B. I know in the list that Wes had presented, there was about $1 million in sport court and the hardwood flooring for basketball. And I think probably 2/3 of that was on the hardwood, and maybe 300,000 or so, 400,000 was on the sport court. But like I said, these are some unique opportunities that are presenting themselves right now. So we thought if we could maybe approve an initial budget for the FF&E, I believe the total list, and we can get it sent out to the whole court, it was still being modified. The total list was around 2.7 million. And like I say, about $1 million of that was just on flooring for basketball and volleyball for the sport, including the hardwood and the sport court. So Ken or Mike, is there anything y'all want to jump in on either the addendum to Irwin's contract or on kind of that initial budget?
I agree with everything that you just stated. I'm looking at the list right now, so your numbers are right on. I'll say that, our last meeting, kind of where we left it, was that purchasing was going to go through and see what we can add any expertise to, or anything that we can deal with. like you said, possibly on a state contract or a cooperative agreement. And so we're trying to compile that now to see what it is that would be easy for us to do, and then we'd visit with Kevin to see what they would do well, and try to come up with a list for each of us. That's all I had to add.
Okay, any questions before Mike talks about the aspects of the agreement? Okay, Mike?
One, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Just under this model, especially with the fact that our local businesses are kind of taking an economic hit, how will the process allow for our local small businesses to maybe bid on or take part in some of the selling items out there? How can they access and kind of help out as far as bidding on some of the things that we're gonna need?
Mr. Miller, the way we're doing it through our CMAR, there's a lot better likelihood of local involvement than there would be normally, because the CMAR deals with certain people and stuff that there's a lot more chance for local involvement. There's going to be some of this stuff that it's going to be specialty stuff that there's nobody around here that makes. So it wouldn't make a difference if we were bidding it or they were. But I think we have a better chance of getting local involvement with the CMAR handling the end, because they have a lot more discretion in who to pick.
Okay, I understand. I guess what I'm asking, are we going to shape the package in a way that those small businesses would be able to bid on some of those? I noticed in other phases, the packages were so large that the respondents were limited.
That's something that can be taken into consideration.
Okay.
Kevin, if you could talk a little bit about who our subs are and how you make those decisions.
Yeah, I think the good thing about the FF&E list, if everybody can hear me, is that it's really an itemized list. And looking at the list, I know that because I've dealt with them, there are local businesses that can certainly handle all of the furniture, office equipment type purchases that are part of that list. The list is kind of 2 or 3 major components. There's a food service equipment component. There are local food service vendors that could potentially bid on package or portions of the package. There's a furniture, office furniture outfitting component in that I know there are local businesses that I've worked with that would do a great job of that. I think the county, what we talked about, there's a technology component with computers and monitors and copy machines and office equipments. I think we talked about like Ken Bass and the county purchasing, handling that part of it. Again, the food service, and then the other large component, I'd have to do a little bit more research on as far as the local capabilities, but the sports flooring and sporting equipment is the other kind of major piece of the package, if you will. But I think there's portions of that package that are extremely well suited to some of the local capabilities of the local companies here. So.
And that's true, but Mike said there's some specialty items what people don't handle.
Mike, turn your volume down on your.
Do we have are we approving this budget today, or are we just, I got cut off towards the end of Dustin's introduction about the $1 million for the flooring for the sports courts. So do we have an FF&E list budget yet, or are we just gonna make this up as we go?
Kind of what I had thought is we have a list from Wes, and we can get that to y'all. The total of it was about 2.7 million, including all the items that Kevin just went over, and about $1 million of that was the sport court, including the sport court part and the hardwood flooring for basketball. What we were thinking maybe under O2B, and Ken or Mike can correct me, is since we have the opportunity to maybe get some of the sport court this summer, is if we could just net an amount to be under O2B, or let me see, sorry. Yeah, under O2B. That would then allow us to be able to move forward on some of those items that we've got that unique opportunity to get. And then the other items, we will bring that back to the court through the GMP process, if this addendum is approved, or through the items that purchasing would be able to procure. Ken and Mike, does that make sense?
Yes, and part of the construction management risks job is to work with us on the budget and to make sure what is actually, in their view, necessary versus not necessary, those sort of things. So there is going to be a watchdog component, but as Dustin said earlier, there's an opportunity right now to take advantage of the current situation and get some things at a much cheaper price.
Well, wouldn't we do that just through our regular purchasing procedures?
We could, but there's a lot more give and take in horse trading that can be done through a CMAR than a rigid bidding process.
Well, I just worry about giving blank checks. So, and it'd be nice to know what we're getting before we approve.
Well, we can make the deal and come back and get it approved. I mean, essentially make it a conditional deal.
Especially for $1 million.
Dustin, would that work?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the way I understood from Wes, that it's just that sport court part now. And, and I don't know if the hardwood piece was going to be part of their official ask to the court of the FF&E. This was just kind of their initial list. I know right now that opportunity is on the sport court. That's the little multi-use type court where volleyball, it's more versatile and it's cheaper. That's the court that there's the chance to be able to buy over the summer, and at a reduced rate due to all this COVID stuff. So that's the part where if we don't have to set $1 million budget under O2B, we could do a much less. We could do a $300,000 or $400,000 budget there. And Commissioner, I get what you're saying. If you want us to kind of work with that vendor and do what Mike said and get an agreement, and then we can bring that back to the court for approval, we can certainly do that as well.
Yeah, I think, Dustin, the way we understood it was, or at least what I thought the process was, I think the budget was just advising the court what was kind of a expected order of magnitude of this entire package. But we would bid portions of the package. We wouldn't be authorized to commit to any purchases or the use of any funds without then bringing the results of those bids. Like, let's just use the sports flooring as an example. We would go bid that to multiple vendors, work to get the best value for the county, but we would then have to bring the results, just like we did with our bid packages, back to the county for approval before we could make a single purchase. And so at least that's how we understand the process is being created. We're just here to help with that process for some of the components that we would actually construct, in our projects, like the food service equipment. Typically, that goes along hand in hand with the project. So not only the purchase of that equipment, but ultimately when we complete the project, the integration and the installation would be done as part of the project, so that when we finish, we turn it over to the county and the hot fair folks, and they have a working kitchen, if you will. But again, we wouldn't be able to use any of those funds or commit to any purchases without the approval of the court.
That's just as every other process has been with you guys, right? I mean, we're not getting outside the box. This is just still how we've done business.
No, sir. We're just stepping in to facilitate the bid packaging and bidding, if you will, of some of these major, like the sports flooring, the sports equipment, the food service. But again, we would not be able to commit to any purchase or the use of a dollar until we have the approval of the court, if you will.
Now, you all do see opportunity for value engineering as well, where looking at it a different way, that could end up being cheaper, maybe a solution sometime.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
Let me just say this too, the list and the amount that Dustin quoted, the 2.7 million, I mean, those are estimated dollars that Wes and Jason put together as their list of, I'll say, wish items for the project. So again, it's real numbers that we have on that.
And the other thing that's important to remember, that's another reason for having the construction manager at risk involved here, is they're trying to manage the entire budget for the project. And, you know, they know what's needed for the rest of the bricks and sticks. So they have to keep that in mind while they're also looking at the FF&E.
Right.
Well, I guess the question kind of for the entire court, if we want to, do we want to designate some amount where we know we can go out and kind of work towards that sport court purchase, or would y'all like for us to do as Mike had suggested and, you know, visit with sport court people and try to get an amount approved and then bring that back at our next court meeting for the court to decide whether or not to move forward on it?
I like that approach, personally.
I do too. I'd like to see the whole picture first.
Okay. And what we'll do, Ken, would you mind sending that the FF&E list out to the court?
He already sent it to me.
Okay, good.
I said earlier, but I was afraid to send it to everyone. I didn't want to conflict, but I will send to everybody right now.
Good deal. So I think under O2A, if the court's comfortable with the construction manager at risk, we could just approve that addendum to the agreement with Irwin, allowing them to help with the acquisition of the FF&E for the Expo Center.
Okay, any questions about that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Cannell,
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Cannot hear Mercedes. Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Pass. Okay, going to, so on, under item 2B, I guess, what we do is just, hold that, or, what would you think, Dustin?
You can just pull it.
Yes. We can pull with no action.
Okay, no action on, O2B. All right, and then, did we get a approval for recording purposes on O2C? If not, is there a motion to approve O2C, which was Kevin's report, for recording purposes?
You have a motion and a second,
You
Judge.
have one?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, thank you. Okay, I would like to go back to the front of the agenda. Okay, under, item E, under consent agenda, I don't have any recommended pulls. Does anyone have a recommended pull? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Under budget amendments, under F1 is regarding the FY20 budget. So Francis? Good morning.
Good morning. So starting with F1A, this is a budget amendment in the general fund for maintenance of equipment. They are requesting money from contingencies to rent a moving truck to relocate their office. F1B1, this is a budget amendment in the permanent improvement fund related to the 2017 bond. This is also related to the garage relocation. The original estimate was $400,000, but these are additional costs that are needed for a tire shop build out, oil tank relocation, plumbing, HVAC modifications, and then some additional concrete work. F1B2, this is also in the 2017 bond fund. This is a budget amendment just to clean up some of the line items related to ADA modifications and our road projects. F1C, this is in various funds. This is our first budget amendment to amend some of the line items that are related to COVID-19 purchases. So there's an attachment that shows what makes up that detail. It's pretty much all either technology purchases related to working remotely, or it's actual supplies, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer. So the line items that are in the general fund, the request is to move from contingencies in the general fund. We've also been able to utilize the Justice Technology Fund and the Justice Court Building Security Fund. So you'll see those funds noted by those purchases. F1D, this is in the Justice Technology Fund. So the budget amendment we just had for the COVID-19 purchases, those are things that have already been done, processed. This one, the next two have no work has been done yet. So the first one, F1D, is Justice Technology Fund for JP2, and they're requesting equipment and related software for, let's see, related to signage in their waiting area, and then courtroom display for remote conferencing, as well as microphones and some other equipment.
I'd like to ask Lisa to look at, Lisa, could you make any comments on these expenditures?
Good morning, everyone. I have spoken with Judge Lee on his requests, and as, sorry, I'm trying to adjust my agenda in front of me. As Francis was saying, he has some signage that he would like to put in place in his lobby. He has the display in the courtroom. We've gone over his requests, and we don't have a problem with his needs there. And we are outsourcing this work, so there is some labor on this that was necessary due to the workload that's both on IT and the maintenance of building group. So there is some charges for that. That's for the JP2 office. We haven't covered JP3 yet, right?
No, that one's next.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So F1E, also in the Justice Technology Fund, this one is related to JP3. And again, Lisa may want to speak to the there and the equipment that's being requested.
Yes, I did speak with Judge Perea last night. He's been working with Brazos Media as well, looking for different solutions for his needs. There have been some adjustments along the way. My last conversation with him on this final change, he is wanting to set his courtroom up for a Zoom meeting. So he does have a TV display set up there. He is wanting to utilize a Polycom video and sound system. We were unable to provide a webcam for him, and his laptop that he is assigned to his court has been given to one of his clerks so that they may work remotely. So he does not have a means of, using video camera without this system. I talked to Brazos Media to see if there were other options available, and they, like us, are having difficulty locating less expensive options. So this is something that they have on site, on hand, that they would be able to fill this need quickly. Another area he is wanting to incorporate is the use of a conferencing system. Again, he's wanting to use this Polycom system. It is one that is requiring service through ESI to manage that conferencing. You'll see there, he has on there a charge of $1,900. That is the one-time charge for the device, and it also covers the support for the first year. They will serve as the liaison between ESI for on-site support. What is not listed here, I wanted to bring to your attention, is the annual fee of $600 to continue that service after 12 months.
Would those funds come out of the technology fund?
Yes, sir. It is a JP Technology request.
Yeah, is this video conferencing equipment going to be doing for conferencing with the jail or with who?
This will be for his litigants for court proceedings. He feels that in his area, they may not be able to benefit much from the Zoom meeting platform. He thinks the phone conferencing would be more popular with this group. Many of the people in his area may not have access to internet, making that type of meeting more difficult.
Lisa, I'm sorry, but my audio went out. I had to change headphones. What exactly is Judge Perea wanting in his courtroom?
Okay, so let me pull that back up. Let me get my screen is buffering. Give me just a moment, please. Okay, and looking at the charges here at the top of the quote from Brazos Media, there is a display and camera set up for Zoom meetings. He is looking to install a Polycom unit. It has a audio video USB soundbar with camera. Does not have use of his laptop currently, as he has assigned that to one of his clerks so that they may work remotely. There's also a TV display in that courtroom that is to be mounted. This is something that, this is the only camera that they are able to get their hands on. He's wanting to have this installation in by the end of the month. And this is the only, like I said, the only camera that is in stock at this time in our area. We've also run into the same issue for some of our courts. So most of the other courts are using their laptop. The second item on here is his audio, analog audio conference phone system. So this is another Polycom solution, and service would be through ESI. The labor, the device, and the service is encompassed in that charge for $1,900. What is not listed here would be the recurring charge after the first year, which is $600 annually.
Seems like a lot for a temporary issue. So just my thought.
Okay, any questions for Francis or Lisa? All right, I will entertain a motion to approve F1A through F1C.
So move.
Have a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Abstain.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
I agree to everything except for F1E, and I oppose F1E.
Commissioner Perry.
I thought we were just voting through F1C.
Now we're voting F1A through F1C.
So we'll go back and get E in a moment.
Yeah, so,
I misheard then.
I did as well.
okay, if all those are withdrawn, the motion's withdrawn, the seconds are withdrawn, which I do. Then let's go to,
Want me to start again?
hang on.
Okay.
We are, first of all, let's go and pull, is that F1C, Commissioner Jones, you want to pull?
F1E.
F1E?
So your motion was correct. I just don't think they heard it clearly.
Yeah, we didn't.
It was F1A through F1C, and I don't think anyone had problems with those.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we approve F1A through F1C.
Second.
Second. Okay, we have a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Thanks. All right, going to items, F1D.
Okay, can I say something? Now I was gonna let you finish your statement. And then I just want to interject something on F1D.
Okay, go ahead.
I did speak with Judge Lee, and the items that he's asking for, if you've ever been out to JP4, when you go into the lobby, there's a screen that allows for individuals to see their number and when they should come for service. And so he's asking for the lobby area to be set up over precinct 2 for him and Constable Johnson in the same manner that the lobby area is set up for out at JP4, and the same as his setup in the courtroom. So it's not for COVID-19. It's not a temporary fix as much as it is a technology upgrade that's going to be permanent.
So, so is that a motion to approve?
Yes, I'd make a motion to approve F1.
F1D? Okay. I have a motion and, is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion?
Yes, I had a question.
Yeah.
Lisa, what was the price on that on D?
Let me pull that quote up if you'll give me just a moment, please. Okay, so
And that's-
for Judge Lee's office, for his waiting area signage, he's asking for a 49-inch display. And with the cable and the mounting bracket, that comes to $795. For the courtroom display for the conferencing, we're looking at a 55-inch display. Again, with the HDMI mount that goes with that, that is $1,130. And he also needs a wireless microphone set up. That he has got, that is actually $1,935. I did not actually notice that it was wireless on that one, but that's what he's looking for, is a wireless setup there. And he also has another display. I'm trying to remember why he needed the smaller one. There's a smaller display in here as well. I don't see a separate, oh, there he is, Commons area display. That's $355. And then the labor for the project is $1,200. Again, outsourced because I did speak with TJ. His team is spread pretty thin since they are not able to use the inmate crew for a number of their jobs that they do. So his staff is having to fill that.
So just so I'm clear, none of this is temporary, it's all permanent, and it's coming from the technology fund?
Yes, sir. This is for a setup similar to the JP4 office, just trying to get that signage out to the public to better manage their waiting areas, so people are prepared. And then, of course, the courtroom setting that he has that technology there.
But this wasn't budgeted for ahead of time, it's just something, want to get it now, huh?
That is correct. This was not discussed during assessments last year, so we did not make provisions for that. And this would be a budget amendment coming from their JP Technology Fund. And I believe the auditor found that appropriate to come from that fund.
Yes, that's an appropriate expense out of that fund. But of course, the fund is Commissioner's Court controlled, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on F1D, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye. Passed under F1E at Justice Peace, Precinct 3, Fund 140. This is for amount $4,825. And if you want to give a breakdown on what all covered in that.
Okay, so in this request, they start with the display and camera for the Zoom setup for Zoom meetings. They are, I'm not sure what size this TV is in here. It just says a smart TV for $400. The mounting bracket is there with the HDMI. The Polycom audio video USB soundbar and camera is $995. And there's a video, there's a tripod mount for that is $200. They do not have a project breakdown on this particular quote. It looks like it's about $1,800, $1,900 on that solution. And then the next solution they're looking at is the analog audio only conferencing phone system. The system they currently have in place is a Toshiba system that is limited to joining 2 calls for conferencing there. So by incorporating this system, they have to get a service with ESI for that, which allows them a maximum of to 25 parties on this call. This includes the cost of the equipment, the installation, the annual support. What's not listed here is the recurring support. I do not know, whether he intends to maintain that, but just so the court would know, the ESI service would be $600 annually. There was an agreement also associated with that ESI service. When I spoke to Brazos Media last night, we just laid our hands on that last evening. I have not been able to speak to Kim Bass. I am assuming he probably has not had time to look at that agreement.
I haven't
And
seen
just,
it.
okay, just so I'm clear now, this isn't to communicate with the jail for video conferencing, right?
It is not for video conferencing to the jail. This need, he explained, is for court proceedings. He does not do magistration. His particular office does not do magistration with the jail, so I don't think there's a need there for that.
But it's basically because of the COVID-19 to be able to communicate with the constituents?
Yes, sir. That is what he's telling me. So I believe, yes, matter of fact, he did ask me last night to let the auditors know that would like to have it considered for that. He understands that, that may not be approved once it goes through the process that the auditors have to do.
No, okay, well, could all this be accomplished with just a laptop? Or is this?
The Zoom meeting could be, many of the other offices, that's what they're utilizing as well. He has one laptop assigned to his department. He has given that to one of his clerks to work remotely. I don't have any quotes in front of me on what the laptops are running us. Getting them from the Dell distributor, is 6 to 8 weeks out. We've been kind of monitoring local resources here, and when the opportunities have opened up, we have purchased a few items for some of the other departments. So those are not necessarily readily available, but we are looking for those as they're requested upon us. I don't know if he could schedule that time, with his clerk and have that back in his office. That wasn't discussed with me.
Well, it just seems real expensive for a temporary situation. So.
It is much higher than the other cameras, typically under $100 for a webcam setup. We've been, having, our IT loaners go out to various offices. I'm not sure if we have any loaners available at this time. We actually had one come back recently, but I believe it went out to the IHC office. So I think we are out of loaners at this time.
A couple of things that I'm curious about is, first off, not having the opportunity to review the contract yet. I hate to vote on something that we haven't even reviewed, that Ken hasn't had an opportunity to look at. And then my next question is the analog audio only conference phone. He'll be expanding from 2 participants to 25. Isn't that quite a jump? And what's the price difference from 2 participants to 25 participants? That seems excessive.
The 2 would not cost him anything. He could use his existing Toshiba system. We also entertained the thought of having them join our Mitel system with the rest of the county offices. I'm not sure what the turnaround time would be to get a Mitel conference phone. We would need to put a couple of units out there. There would be licensing for, I'm trying to remember what that cost. I would say it's under $400, I think, for, to have everything adequately licensed, and the device, I think, runs around $600. But there's a limitation on the number of callers you can put on the Mitel system, which is what, swayed him away from that. I believe the maximum on their actual conference room is 4. On our office units, you can go over 4, but the sound is sometimes inhibited because the handset, it sits over that speaker. And as far as the Zoom meeting goes, he feels like many of his, the people from his area, oftentimes, they're not comfortable on the computer in that way, getting online for these Zoom meetings. They may or may not have good wireless connections if they even have that service in their home. So, he feels like the phone system may be his best resource.
But admittedly, saying Zoom, it may not be the appropriate thing for the constituency out there, and we're still wanting to move forward with that.
And we're wanting to spend,
I would say close to $1,900 for that solution.
for the Zoom.
Yes.
Do you do magistration with this equipment from out there?
Excuse me, Judge?
Huh?
Judge, can you repeat yourself?
I said, would he have the equipment to do magistrations at the jail with the equipment that he has, or in his purchase?
He does not participate in magistration, so that is not a.
My question is, does he have the equipment to do it?
If he were to get the laptop, from his clerk, then yes, he would have a viable piece of equipment to participate in Zoom meetings.
Have a question, Lisa, because it sounds like you have an understanding of some of his items, but you haven't had an opportunity to visit with him, and Ken hasn't had an opportunity to look at the contract. Commissioner Jones, you think this is something we would want to defer and let IT and purchasing get with Judge Perea? They may even come up with a more efficient way to do what he wants to do.
I agree completely. Motion to defer.
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Okay, passed. Under G, under bids, RFPs, RFQs, under G1 is authorization recommendation of bid number 20-014. This is antennas and parts for tower project. Ken?
Yes, sir. We received a number of bids on this. We received a bid from Hulsberg Communications at an amount of $96,188.76. We received a bid from Industrial Communications for $102,541.47. We received a bid from Teltech Communications in the amount of $104,129.18. A bid from JTS in the amount of $97,208.55. From Tesco Technologies in the amount of $87,198.34. And then we received a bid from Bemis Electronics in the amount of $77,293.01. And we recommend that McLennan County grant the award for the antennas and parts for McLennan County Towers project to Primus Electronics. Primus Electronics submitted the low bid.
Okay, any questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made second, any other discussion?
Yeah, I have
Discussion, call for
a quick question for Ken. Did Frank look at this?
I'm sorry, did who?
Frank Patterson?
I believe Frank did, but mainly I was working with Wayne Canaday. Wayne Canaday reviewed the bids and agreed that the Primus Electronics would bid what he was looking for.
So this is everything that we need. Wayne, can you answer real quick?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay.
And just to clarify, this is for the towers at West, tower at Precinct 2, and the tower at Precinct 4. So this covered 3 towers. We did buy parts for Precinct 1, not on bid, just to get that project.
Okay, any other questions? We have a motion and a second, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
All right, passed. Going to item G2, authorization of equipment software platform upgrade, quote on the OPEX Corporation. This is for the tax office. Lisa?
Yes, sir. This request is coming from the tax office with our support. We are asking for a budget amendment to cover a support expense with their vendor so that we are able to put a security system upgrade on their OPEX Falcon scanning station, or for the PC that interfaces with this equipment. This is used to process their tax payments. The support contract apparently dictates that there's an associated fee for these types of services. This is a proprietary configuration that needs to be performed. And, we talked to that vendor about IT, being able to perform some of those functions, and that was not a possibility. So they offered us 3 options for that service, and we are opting for option 2. I can switch my screen to that. So option 2 is for a trade-in for the existing PC, and IT would retain that hard drive in order for us to ensure that any of the data passed through there, does not leave our control. If we were to allow them to retain it, there is a $4,500 option, but they had a number of stipulations on how that had to be handled. So at this time, we're asking for the funds for option 2. Once we work with them and get the installation in, if we are able to feel that we can confidently clean that hard drive of our data, we may actually opt for the $4,500 option. And I believe this request, they did not have the funds available in their budget, so they are asking to have this a budget amendment from contingency funds.
Right. Anybody have any questions? You understand they are asking to come from contingency. Okay, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed, thank you. Under H, under contracts, interlocal agreements, memorandum of understanding, under A funds, authorization of pricing supplement agreement with TransUnion Risk and Alternative Data Solutions. This is for Constable Precinct 1. I think this is the same as we had last year, which is the monthly fee is $165 and allows for 500 searches. The terms of agreement is for 12 months. Any questions about that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. Under H2, is authorization of interlocal cooperation agreement with the city of Belinda. This is for road and brush work. Commissioner Snell?
Yes, that's a interlocal agreement with the city of Belinda to do some road work and brush work. I have a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. Under H3 is authorization of janitorial service contract with Texas Urban Enterprises. This is for the Justice Peace Precinct 4. Ken?
Yes, sir. When we were looking for quotes for some of the outlying, we got quotes and we determined that Texas Urban Enterprises was the lower quote. We were doing that. We did not know at the time that TJ had already contracted with this Texas Urban Enterprises to clean the building at JP4 in McGregor. So after looking at that, we wanted to work and take JP4 and put it under the umbrella of the contract that we had worked out for the other buildings. And in so doing, we also got a bit of a discount for doing that. So we're just bringing this to the court to ask permission to add this on to our contract with the other buildings at a rate of $950 per month, and that we'd run it concurrently or join it to it, and so that it would now be running from May 1, 2020 through March 31, but be incorporated into that other contract.
Okay, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. Under H4 is authorization of commercial lease extension. This is, this is an extension of the lease agreement we have with Magnolia Vacation Rentals. This would go through the end of May, just to give us time to complete the moves. Any questions anyone have about that? On the same terms? If not, is there a motion to approve H4?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Thanks. Under capital improvements and repairs and maintenance, under I-1 regarding the Benton County Trading House Lake Voting Access Facilities renovation. This, under I-1A is authorization of payment application number 4, in the amount of $73,562.30. And then on I-1B is the HSC, they submitted payment application number 5, totaling $88,544.75. It's got a list of the projects. There's still retainage in the project at this time. TJ, you have any additional comments on this? Can't hear you.
How about now?
All right.
Can you hear me now? Okay. No, so the only thing we got left out there now is the striping related to the handicap parking, and all the other items have been complete. So these are good to go.
Okay. Any questions anyone have? If not, is there a motion to approve I-1A and I-1B?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell, Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Okay, going to item J, real estate right of way and easement. We have nothing this week. Going to item K under grant proposals under K1 regarding the coronavirus emergency supplemental funding program authorization submission of grant application. This is, I think Pam, are you on to talk about this?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay.
This is just requesting the approval from the court to submit the grant for $58,000. That is for the COVID-19.
So can you expand a little bit on what it'd be used for?
Yeah, it must be used to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus. And it includes, but not limited to, overtime equipment, hiring, supplies, training, travel expenses, and addresses the medical needs of inmates in the jails.
I guess one question that always comes up is this adding would add another FTE to the county?
Mm-hmm. Another what? I didn't understand the end of that.
Full-time equivalent, is this adding more people?
No, it will not. It will cover overtime that's used for COVID-19, but not any employees.
Okay, thank you. Any questions anyone has? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the grant application.
Sir, motion made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. On K2, this is pertaining to the grant regarding the Trading House Lake Boating Access Grant. This is for engineering services for invoice number 5B in the amount of $2,100. Any questions about that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Under K3 regarding the Texas Historical Courthouse Preservation Program, our archives invoice number 1902.03 called Courthouse Master Plan Update. And the archives have submitted an invoice totaling $2,475 for the I think the plan update is for $49,500. This is our portion of that. I don't know if Leslie's still on, or hasn't commented about that. Any questions?
There I am. And yet they are, I had an email from them last week. They are still working on putting the plan together. And as soon as we get a draft of it, we'll get it out to the court to review.
So does the court need to approve this?
Yes, sir. We can, it's recording of the invoice. Technically, we have the agreement with Architects for the $49,500. So we don't have to get court approval for each invoice, but we've just felt it was best to keep the court informed of the progress. So it's just actually recording the invoice.
Okay.
And I had a question. I did see the amount listed on the invoice, but exactly, Dustin, what are they billing us for? As far as the service, what are they billing us for?
They came out and spent 1 or 2 days on site interviewing all the offices and departments that were actually in the courthouse. And so it's going to, I haven't actually reviewed the exact details, but I know they spent time here. I visited with them on phone a few times and then also by email. So now they're actually going through and compiling the update to the master plan. Then they'll be delivering it to us. So those expenses are going to be what they've already incurred so far, actually on site and then in preparation of updating the master plan.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? I'll second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Call for his name again.
Commissioner Jones,
Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. On items, under item L, under Department Office and Special Request, under L1 Road and Bridge Precinct 2, L1A is authorization of the cell phone request for Road and Bridge Precinct 2. Service is $39.99 a month, taxes and fees. And then there's a charge for a phone case, $30. Pleasure of the court.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
And under L1B is approval order accepting material donation from Texas Materials under local government code 81.032. This is maintenance this is material from maintenance at Farm Road 1860. And the county will supply the trucks to the job to haul the materials away.
Just asking if TxDOT did some repairs to that area of 1860, and when they ground up that material, they asked if we wanted it. It's a riprap material that we would haul to the yard and use on construction projects. So we're just asking the approval of the donation.
Okay, is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Is there a second? Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under L2, purchasing discussion or action regarding acceptance of bid, response electronically. Ken?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to point out it's been our tradition to require hard copies of any bid responses to bids, RFPs, RFQs. With the COVID virus, I've been receiving a lot of questions. Do we have a way to submit those electronically? I've been exploring a method through a company called DemandStar, where companies could respond electronically, and when they place a response in this queue, we do not have access to it until the bid date and time, and that's one of the requirements. But I wanted to explain to the court, this is a change from anything that we've done in the past, and just want your, tacit approval or approval to allow me to do this, because it's a change in our normal procedure.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
And under L3, Justice Peace Precinct 1, Place 2, authorization of hotspot request, the amount of $37.99 plus taxes and fees monthly. Any questions about that?
Yes, is this just for someone that's working from home, or is this something that they're wanting for on a permanent basis?
Something that they're wanting on a permanent basis. I think it'll allow them to be a little bit more flexible when they're out in the field, maybe on death calls or having to contact the jail.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Motion been made, second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Thanks. Under M, additional items, under M2, selection and designation of public members of salary grievance committee. Need any action on that? Okay, no action needed on that. Going to item M3, approval order declaring certain property as surplus. So this is we're allowing Elmont Volunteer Fire Department to have some of our excess equipment that we no longer use. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Thanks. Under N is American Disability Compliance Project, Inland Organization Professional Service invoice CPY on the ADA study, invoice totaling $9,478 for March services. You have a list of details of that invoice. Any questions anyone have? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, there's a motion, second, any other discussion? Discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. Under O is Buchanan County Venue Project, under O1, authorization of professional service invoice, for November services, for invoice number 00688330. This is, totaling $35,750 for construction administration for the month of November. Pleasure, report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Passed. Under, item P, under Buchanan County Radio Tower Project, multi-site expansion, to existing, simulcast communication system. Under F1, authorization of microwave link equipment proposed and related to agreement with Motorola Solutions. Total amount is $43,417. Pardon me? Ken, are you on?
Yes, sir. Let me clarify. It was kind of broken into a couple of different pieces. And it was for the total equipment and services to make the connection between the Heart of Texas Tower and Road and Bridge 1 is $275,875. In this agreement, the option to make the link between Road and Bridge 1 and Road and Bridge 2, that amount is $425,134, and it's in the agreement as an option. And just to make the statement, we are in a conflict with Williamson County, and we're trying on a frequency, and we're trying to resolve that situation. So this may take a little bit longer to hash out before we can actually make that link, though the link will, I think, eventually be made whenever a resolution is found. And then Wayne's on the line, I believe, and we have also an option for a Provision Network Management System, $43,417, and that amount, Wayne was thinking that we didn't need it this time, but it's also listed as an option for that, and Wayne might want to make a comment about that.
Yes, sir. Judge, on that provisioning network manager, what that does, that is a system or software that lets the technician, if there's an issue with one of the sites, get on from his computer here at the shop and monitor it and see what link is out. I've got to call in to a friend of mine who's dealt with this Aviat provision before, and he hasn't gotten back with me. They're doing a huge project up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I need to review that with him before we proceed on this. I like some of the provisions that's in it, but I'm just not ready to move or act on that at this time.
So we need to defer this.
I think we put that option in for because it is considered an option in this agreement, and if you will approve the agreement, and Frank Patterson has reviewed this as well as Wayne and myself. I think Dustin may have looked through it as well, but approve the agreement And I think that being an option, we can go ahead and consider that at a later date.
And Ken, just so I'm clear, and on this microwave part of this, I mean, we're going to the 800 system, so basically this is going to just take care of the standard radio traffic for fire departments, or what?
Oh, no, this is for the, Wayne, isn't this for the 800 system?
Yes.
Yes, it's for the 800 system. What this does, it links all the radio towers together, each individual one, and this is the first phase of the microwave link system. That synchronizes everything with the City of Waco main system, which is located at the fairgrounds. All this is time-based.
Okay, all right, just wanted to double check. Thank you.
And we're going to be, this week, I'm going to start on Precinct 2, getting it dismantled, get ready for the foundation, and get ready for the equipment that's coming in for it. So that one's going to be brought up online here, hopefully sometimes in May.
The court just needs to approve the first two, the $275,875, and also the $425,134 piece of this.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions anyone have? Okay, and I think, probably going forward, since we have Frank as a consultant on this, when we have these items, let's be sure he's connected on Zoom as well. All right, what's the pleasure, court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, second, any other discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Snell,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. Under the emergency supplemental agreement, we've got all that, so going back to, under work session items, I do not have anything, under those to talk about unless someone else does. Is there anything else that would come before the court? If not, we stand adjourned. Probably some things we need to